Hi, this is Scott with Etrailer. Today we're taking a look at and installing the Blue Ox Patriot Braking System for 2025 Ford F-150. We get asked a lot what components you're going to need to get set up to flat tow, and the five main components you're going to need is you're going to need a base plate, you're going to need a tow bar, you're going to need safety cables, you're going to need some type of tow bar wiring, you're also going to need some type of braking system. Another thing we often recommend would be a charge line kit that will charge your battery as you're going down the road. Our Blue Ox Patriot is going to be a portable system. So say you're flat towing with multiple vehicles, or you have a couple of them that you're flat towing with. This is going to be a brake system that allows you to change that out between vehicles really easily. And when you're done flat towing, all you have to do is unhook this and pull it out. So it's a really easy setup to deal with, and I really like this one. So say I want to tow with this, all I got to do is just put this in, hook it to my pedal, get the setup and power on, plug it in, and we're all set to go down the road. So our neighbor today is flat towing with this F-150 and a Jeep and brought them both in to get set up. So this is a really perfect setup for them because they are using both vehicles. Now, if you have any questions or comments about this braking system for your Ford F-150, you can always leave a question or comment down below in the comment section, or you can get a hold of one of our experts here at Etrailer. They'd be glad to help you out. Now, this is really easy to set up and something you can absolutely do yourself, but if you're getting other components installed for your flat tow setup, you can always take a look at our dealer locator and get something done for you locally. If it's something you feel like tackling yourself, stick around, watch our video, and we'll help you get it installed. Start our installation. One of the first things I like to do is figure out a good place to get my breakaway switch installed. So what I did is, while I was setting up my plug, my mount had a really good location for that to bolt through as I was bolting that on. So I went ahead and bolted that through, and I ended up running a wire up in through the hole where I ran the rest of my wiring. So I ran that up and through, then ended up coming up behind our bumper, and then it came up, and I ended up running up and through over here by our air filter housing. So I ran my cord up after I had it all connected to my breakaway switch, and then I ran it up underneath of our mount for our air filter housing. I came up over here and I ran this over, and I ended up coming over to our firewall where I found a grommet, and I ended up running my wire through our rubber grommet seal. What I did is just poked a hole through that with a utility knife. I poked through, it's basically two layers, so I poked through both of those, and then I fish wired both my wire that I have running in and the two wires that I have running out for my power supply. Now you can see right here where we have the silicone on where our wires are going into our grommet, and you're going right next to the wiring harness for the vehicle, so you want to be careful and make sure that you're over far enough that you're not running into that. And then after I got all the wires in and out that I needed to run, I went ahead and covered that back up with silicone to give it a good seal. Now we're on the inside of our vehicle, and you can see the grommet where it came out, and you can see our wire for our breakaway switch that comes in, and also that's where I ran our 12-volt power supply through as well. This is our 12-volt power supply, and this is something you'll probably have to pick up separate. And what this is going to do for us is give us a constant 12-volt power source for our brake system. Now with this is going to be wired out through where we ran all our wires through, and then runs over to our battery, and we have our negative and our positive hooked up there. That way there's no interruption in our 12-volt power that comes to our brake system. For our 12-volt power supply, we're back out on the outside of our vehicle, and we came out of our firewall. Now I did add some extension wire because our wire wasn't long enough to reach all the way over to our battery, so I did add extensions to that, and I ran out. We came up and tied off here, and anywhere you route wire, you want to make sure you're putting it where it's not going to get pinched in, say, the hinges of your hood or any moving parts or anything hot. So we ran up, tied off here, went up, went in behind our cowl, just went along and unclipped those as we went along all the way across, and then we popped out on the other side by our battery. So where we came out where this little flap is, and with our wire tucked in behind here, that's going to be protected really well. Came out, and we ended up tying off here. Now you can see where I tied back into our fused end. We're going to have our heat shrink butt connector here, and this won't come in your kit, but I recommend you pick some of these up. These work really good for keeping corrosion out, and it also gives it a good seal and keeps our wires together. Now we came out, we have our fused end for our positive side. I ended up cutting off the connector that was on this and ended up putting a ring terminal on here to run this to my positive post. Now we have our negative side. I ran that wire right alongside my power wire and ended up bringing that over here and attaching a larger ring terminal onto my wire, and all I did was attach that directly to my negative post. Now with our 12 volt power, what we can do here is this will come with a mount, but what I ended up doing, and it works a little bit better, it usually just comes out of the mount. So what I end up doing is just leave it out so they can tuck it away behind a panel out of the way when they're not using it. And when they are using it, just makes it easier to have it in their hand to plug it in and unplug it. So with that, now we have our wire that came out, and this is for our breakaway switch, and this is just gonna plug right into the side of our brake system. So now what we'll do is we'll get our brake system all set up and we'll get it in place. One thing to keep in mind when you're getting this set up is you're gonna have 3 different positions on the back of your mount where your pedal goes. You're also going to have a couple different sized hooks that come with it. So we have our hooks that came on ours on here, but we did move them down to the middle position. So you want to get these set up to fit your pedal. We have a medium sized pedal, so we just kept these and went to the middle position, and it made a nice tight fit. Now you're going to have this adjustable backer here. This is going to bump up against your seat. You want to get this lifted up. I like to lift them up all the way and then adjust them from there. Usually when they're in their lowest position, when you get it, is always way too low. We do have the feet on ours. Now what this is for is it's going to adjust for our height of where this needs to hit our seat. And also this is also going to help take care of uneven floors and get this a little more level. So what I did is I ended up taking the floor mat out. So what I'll do now is I have my seat back quite a ways, so that way I have room to put my unit in place. So we're going to have our claws here, and what this is going to do is be spring loaded, and you just squeeze these together and you can lock that open like that. What we'll do, we'll come in here and we'll just get this on our pedal. That'll be the first thing we want to do. Then we'll get this set down. We'll push a little button, and that's going to release our clamp, and that's going to grab onto our pedal. Now with your feet, these are going to be threaded, so we can loosen or tighten these to go up and down. And if your floor, say you have a little hump that's higher on this other side, that's going to help keep it level. So you can just turn these any way you need to get them to where this unit sits fairly level. What we'll do now is we'll get our seat moving forward, and we just want it to come up and leave just a little bit of room, but we want it to just barely touch that. Give it a little room to move. You don't want to go too far forward because you don't want to have your pedal activated. You want a little bit of a play there. Now we have it in place, we will plug in our breakaway switch. Now that that's plugged in, we'll go ahead and plug in our 12 volt power. Now we can hit our power button. It's going to do a little sequence. We can see that we have green and blue. So now what we want to do is bring our seat forward, and we're going to meet up with our pads. And as you can see here now, we have blue and we have red. That means we have too much pressure on the unit and it's kind of pushing on the pedal, and we don't want that. So we'll back it off just a little bit. Make sure we have a little bit of play. Pull our unit back so it's not pushing on our pedal. Now you can see we have it back and forth. That's kind of where we want it to be. So now we'll just hit setup. It's going to actuate. And that's going to set up our unit. One of the last things we want to do is get our monitor paired up to our brake system. So I have my accessory on, and I'm just going to plug into my 12 volt outlet. And it looks like ours is already paired. So what this is going to do for us, this is going to allow us to monitor our brake system, and not only monitor our brake system, but it's going to allow us to change the amount of force that we want. So anytime we feel like it's pushing too hard or pulling too hard in the rear on our towed vehicle, we can change that. So we can go to our force, and it's going to allow us to go either up or down the amount of force that we want our brake system to work at. So we can change that, but I'll leave this right in the middle. Hit OK. And now it's also going to be set up where it has a lighting feature with it. We can also go to our menu, and we're going to have a bunch of different settings in here that we can change. But now we can just go through those by scrolling down. And also, this is going to allow us to be able to apply our brakes anytime we want to. We can hit the brakes on our towed vehicle just by hitting this brake button, and that will manually apply our brakes. And in your kit, this is going to allow you to mount this a couple different ways. You're going to have this silicone tray, so you can set this up on your dash, and it'll allow you to set your monitor up there where you want it. Well, that's kind of nice that it has that. Or you can also set it up with this hook and loop strip that comes with it, so you can apply it to your dash wherever you want. But with this today, we're just going to have it installed with our silicone tray. And that was a look at the Blue Ox Patriot Braking System for 2025 Ford F-150. I'm Scott with Etrailer, and thanks for watching.